In a realm where shadows whispered and fear reigned, Lily's life as a witch unfolded in heartbreak and solitude. Condemnation was her constant companion. Townsfolk mocked her openly, their jeers echoing through the air without a hint of remorse. But her darkest moments awaited her in the palace, where the young King Fausto awaited her with impatience. Upon her arrival, he scolded her vehemently for her tardiness, yanking her hair as he reminded her of the 9 long years that she had spent under his watchful eye. "There's a limit to my patience," he warned, his voice a chilling reminder of the rebellion that hung in the balance. Then, with a sharp turn, he inquired about the jester who seemed to charm the court. Pavel from the 16th century. The young tyrant Fausto assassinated all his relatives and ascended to the throne himself. As soon as he ascended the throne, he continued his violent actions to establish royal authority. Due to controls between countries and political fights with the church, only the powerless had to bear the powerless damages. However, the source of Pavel's suffering was not Fausto. The famine that had persisted for centuries, diseases, and wars, the country was in chaos, both inside and outside, with all the heroes expressing their fear of the end of the world. People began to blame the fear on heresies, that is, witches. 200 years ago, finally, with the Pope's authorization, the witch hunt began. That was when Lily was dragged to the palace, leaving her little brother behind. She arrived, and the king immediately made an offer to save her because he needed power, and he planned to use her to get it. He wanted her to be by his side wherever he went despite her plea of not being a witch. Then, he threatened to eliminate her entire family, including her, and bring in another child to replace her. Probably a beggar asking for bread on the street, or a good child helping his parents, or better still, the little one she left behind. Her eyes widened in fear, and so, she decided to accept her fate. 9 years later, she became the only living witch in the country. But then, there was a particular jester who always showered her with praises. He was quite different from the others. He had his way with words and never missed an opportunity to flatter her, to the point that she asked, "Don't you tire of singing my praises? I know you survived unlike the other jesters, but don't you think it would be better if you restrained yourself with me?" She told him that the Black Witch couldn't afford to fully enjoy his sharp mouth, after which he pleaded to retire for the meantime. With a courteous bow, he mentioned that they'd see each other in a while, whilst wishing her fun at the banquet. The jester arrived at the banquet, where rumors about him being a witch spread to the point where some people even contemplated catching him to find out. As Lily made her way to the banquet, she overheard gossip about her that changed her mood, but she remained calm and quietly made her way out of there. A moment later, she went to a corner to have some quiet time alone, hoping that she wouldn't meet any maid there. But to her surprise, a little girl walked up to her, calling her a witch. With a calm demeanor, Lily inquired about the girl's solitude, only to learn she wasn't alone. The child's innocent confidence engulfed Lily, who listened as the girl declared she was unafraid of the witch because she believed in the goodness beneath the layers of rumor. "The witch is kind," she proclaimed, a conviction that sparked a fragile hope within Lily's heart. Returning to the banquet, Lily was met with a horrifying sight. A man lay dead, lifeless on the ground. A chill ran down her spine as the realization dawned. Magic was involved. Before long, the crowd's eyes pivoted, accusing her of the heinous act, the shadow of Count Morinix's murder branding her as the culprit in a heartbeat. At night she took a walk outside, wanting to be alone when she unexpectedly bumped into the jester. Surprised, she asked why he always showed up when she wanted to be alone, but he countered and said he knew the witch was not to be blamed for the incident. Then, he asked why she didn't give any explanation when she was being accused, and he also offered to help if she wanted. She stared at him and asked if he was the one who started the rumor that was spreading rapidly. But to her, the opinions of others no longer mattered. After 9 long years as a witch, the tide of hatred was relentless. Countless souls longed to see her extinguished. Yet, the jester held fast to his belief. "Let me fetch a maid to testify on your behalf," he insisted. "No," she interjected, panic rising. "You'll only place her in danger of being accused as my accomplice." Several days passed, and there was still no news about what happened, but everyone still believed it was magic. The jester was summoned to testify about what he saw on the day of the incident which he vowed to do. So, he began explaining that he was showing his tricks in the center, as usual. Being a jester is amazing because he can watch everyone from the very top, and as everyone knows, talented jesters are always watching what happens everywhere. At that moment, Count Mornex was enjoying the banquet like everyone else, and the only suspicious thing was the laughter of a young woman who listened to the Count's usual bragging. He continued saying that the only thing the Count had then were 3 glasses of wine, and after some research, he discovered that there was nothing wrong with either the wine or the glass. Besides, breaking bones isn't something you can do with poison. So, just as rumored, there was only one way to do it, which was magic. As soon as he said this, all eyes quickly turned to Lily, but she instantly clarified that she couldn't use magic without permission. The other men in the room began speculating if the incident was carried out by the church or the reformed faction, but one of them urged them to not be hasty in their conclusions because the Count had many enemies. Suddenly the king mentioned that he bought the jester's opinion. We learned that recently, the land that was absorbed from Baron Gale was a stronghold of the reformers, and it has made the earl and duke stronger. So, it's natural that the church and the reformers are nervous. The deliberation lingered for a moment, with them still trying to point it down to the witch, but the king shut them up and reminded them that she was important to them. The meeting ended with them agreeing to create a culprit for the incident, even if it was fictitious. The king urged the jester to help out too and, if possible, discover the real culprit. Now outside the room, the jester kissed Lily's hand before leaving, but as he walked away, she mentioned that the maid told her that a black-haired servant asked her to prove the witch's innocence. Just as she was about to question if he was the one, he countered and said that he specialized in jokes and tricks, and no matter how talented he was, he couldn't do something like magic. Bothered, Lily asked why most people probably prefer a funny, kind jester but they don't like her. She explained that in the last 9 years, only 5 people had shown her kindness, and he was one of those 5 people. In fact, he has treated her so well that the word kindness falls short. With a gentle smile, he replied that it was because he was a person of the king. The witch then remarked that all jesters are people of the monarch, but only brave and highly capable people can sit next to him, and that ability shines in the sincerity that guides the leader on the right path. She added that the court jester was the only one allowed to do so, but he was the only one who did not take advantage of that privilege. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button to catch more awesome content coming your way.